Have y'all been keeping up with this Jonah Hill thing? Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. So real quick, if you don't know what it is, Jonah Hill's ex put out a bunch of his text messages to her while they were dating, and she was a surfer. She still is, and then they were dating while she was surfing, and it's him being like, "Why you gotta surf around men, and why you got?" And she's like a surfer and a surf instructor. He's like, "Why you gotta surf with men, and why you gotta post pictures of yourself surfing in a bikini and all that?" So it was all this shit like that, right? And it just you could see a decline in the text messages where he's clearly so worried about being cheated on, he's not making sense. He's like, "Why you gotta surf with dude?" Because then if you're surfing and then he's surfing, what if y'all start surfing on each other? You know what I mean? And then like y'all are surfing together, and what if you get surf in your mouth? And then now you were just covered in surf, and you come home and you're like got surf on you. I was like, nigga, are you all right? Like. So there's been a lot of backlash about him being narcissistic and misogynistic and everything. And I think Jonah Hill committed a cardinal sin. He really did. Jonah Hill told a woman what to do while being an ugly motherfucker. Can't do that shit. You cannot do that shit. Like, look at the text and then look at his face. You cannot tell anybody what to do, sir. That's too much bass in your text right now for that hairline you got, you know? I'm not gonna lie, if John Hamm had sent those same texts, if John Hamm was like, "I don't want you talking to any other men," you'd be like, "Okay, daddy." Like, Did y'all see the Alabama brawl? Yo, who knew Wakanda was in Alabama? That was crazy. That was wild. So many people came out of nowhere. That shit was like Black January 6th. That was like, that was crazy. If you didn't see the video, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain it really quick. Basically, there was this one guy. He was an employee of the place, right? And he was like asking these people to move their boat, you know? So it was a black employee, but he was asking these people who happened to be white that had the boat to move their boat, and they wouldn't move the boat. I don't even know if this part is true, but I heard that the riverfront boat that was waiting to dock had been waiting for like 40 minutes because these people refused to move, right? So finally he just keeps going like, "You gotta move the boat, you gotta move the boat." They get out of their boat, they're cursing at him, and he's not backing down. He's like, "You have to move the boat, I work here, you have to move the boat." And then they just keep cursing at him. Finally they put hands on him, and then they start fighting him, and he did his best. He held his own for quite a while. So it's not like they beat his ass, but they were clearly ganging up on this dude, right? And, a lot of people, as soon as they saw the video, they got upset. I got upset when I thought it was going to bum me out, just seeing like 5 white dudes ganging up on this like middle-aged black dude and everything. And some people were upset about the racial part immediately. But I'm not going to lie, I was distracted. I wasn't. I didn't hate these people because they were ganging up on them and they were white. I hated them because they had a boat. You know what I mean? This isn't just a race thing. These rich fucks with a boat are trying to beat up a working class person. It's insane. Made me furious. And then they started fighting them, and then like other people came. And, a lot of black people already saw what was happening. So then when the riverfront boat docked and other black people who saw what was happening, they all just swarmed. It looked like, like that one episode in Game of Thrones where, they were losing, but then just more just came down the mountain. It was like, I was like, God damn, okay, wow. Send in the troops, apparently. I should back up. When the fight started, the initial fight where the dude was getting ganged up on, he just threw his hat. Just threw it, and that almost felt like a signal. As a black person, I didn't know that was our call to arms. I didn't know this was like, oh, okay, all right, we go now. That was wild to begin with. Then it was crazy because then so many people swarmed in, it turned into a huge brawl, and I don't know if you saw a video, but there was one person that wanted to help when they saw him getting jumped so badly. that this nigga swam. Jumped in the water. From the camera angle, we don't know where he came from. I'd like to think he came from Africa. I'd like to think he started swimming 6 weeks ago in preparation. Because look, if you know, the history of black people swimming, especially in the South, you know that we're not known for it. You know what I mean? And so I'm not gonna critique his swimming because I was just happy to see another black dude swim. That's just, every one of us swimming is a W, okay? But I do have to comment, because he wasn't swimming normal. Did you see him swim? He wasn't swimming regular. This was not regular swimming, right? This man wasn't swimming to the fight. This man was punching the water till he got there. I knew he was gonna whoop ass when he got out of the water, because he would... I've never seen someone punch water till they got to their location. That was so crazy. Go back and watch the video. This man punching with horsepower. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And then he gets out of the water, starts whooping ass, everybody whooping ass and everything. So you know that those white people, when it started fighting, then started more fighting, you know they were relieved when the cops got there, but they must have been conflicted, because half the cops were black. Like, that's a situation where even when the cops arrive, you're like, ooh, whose side are you on? Because I was kind of doing a thing before you got here. You know what I mean? Honestly, that's what's so wild. Because I think also, I've tried to put my mind in, I've tried to put myself in the mind of each person that was in the video in a way. Do you know what I mean? Because that's a terrifying thing. To get jumped is a terrifying thing. Then the person swimming. Then I'm just trying to think about every angle that I could think about it from. I'm not gonna lie. That must have been a huge surprise, because you out here ganging up on this one dude with your buddies, and then before you know it, there's just like 50 black people. That's... Listen, I'm telling you right now, let's say y'all just blinked, and when you opened your eyes, there were 50 black people behind me. I'm not even saying you'd be scared, but you'd be surprised. You'd be like, wow, that was fast. That's all you'd say. You know? Because that's the thing. That's, I think, the strangest part. One of the weirdest parts. Like when you start watching the video. Let's say you start watching the video. You had no context. Nobody told you what was gonna happen. You hadn't seen any of the memes yet. The craziest thing about what happens is that, especially as a black person, I think some people are curious why black people have been memeing the shit out of it and everything. It's because if you know the South and you know the history of 5 white guys ganging up on a black guy and how that usually goes, you know, especially when they have enough money for a boat. Usually doesn't turn out well, you know what I mean? And so this was a different thing. This is a different outcome than we've ever really seen before, you know? Because I'll be honest with you. Let's say we're in a different time and there's no camera phones and they were able to leave before the cops got there. They would have just beat up that dude and left. You know? And that's my thing, where it's like, okay, yeah, whoop their ass, we all laugh, we all celebrate, whatever, but like, fuck up that boat. Like, fuck up the... What are you doing? Like, bust up the bow or something. Like, rip a rudder out, please. I do think that would hurt them more than the ass whooping. They just be standing there and looking like skippers. Not the boat! You know? You know what's actually crazy? I thought about this weekend. You know what I've never done at all in my life? I had to really think about it. Never once in my life have I Googled Jada Pinkett Smith. So why do I know so much? Why do any of us know so much? Isn't that crazy? I've never even Googled Jada and Will. I've never sought any of this information. I know so much about them, it feels like we're related. It's devastating. I don't know if y'all saw the most recent interview. She's given her 1,000th. And in it, she says that she says so many things. First of all, she said that she sold crack when she lived in Baltimore, which is like believable. That's a very entry-level job in Baltimore. That part I was like, and? But then she also said her and Will have been separated for like 7 years. Which what? She also said that Tupac is her soulmate. It's like she's going out of her way to hurt Will's feelings now. This is really insane. Tupac is your soulmate. You've been married for decades. My soulmate's a guy from the 90s. And the more I think about it, and the more I listen to Jada talk, the more that I'm convinced that Tupac died to get away from her. Like, I feel like... Easily. They dated for a while, you know what I mean? And then he got a taste of what Will has lived with. And then he was in Vegas and he got into it with some dudes on some gang shit and stuff like that. And they shot at him and he thought about what life would be like with Jada. And so he just leaned into the bullet. She said they haven't been together. Her and Will have not been together since 2016, which does make the slap more confusing now. That's right, because like that, they haven't lived together since 2016. Now it feels less like you were defending your wife and more like you just wanted to hit Chris Rock. Like, turn that man to a tambourine for no reason. That's insane. It really is. Like, what? Not even defending your wife at this point. You were defending your neighbor, I guess. Haven't lived together since 2016. It also makes the entanglement more confusing now. Watching Will and Jada is just like the Black Inception. You know what I mean? It's just a nightmare and a nightmare and a nightmare. There's twists that nobody asked for. What? Entanglement. Because then, this is my thing. If they weren't together, why'd they have that whole talk acting like they were together? It made them look worse. Why did they do that? It made her look like a cheater and him look like a cuck, but then they weren't together. So what's the big deal now? I mean, the big deal is that she fucked her son's friend, which is... A lot of people don't know that. That was Jaden's friend. So Jaden over there waiting for play dates and stuff. Ain't nobody showing up like it's a Brazzers video. It's so chaotic. No, it's just very chaotic. And look, I want to be fair for a second. I do want to be fair. Everyone comes for Jada and everybody shits on Jada so hard. And I get it. It's easy because she won't stop talking. But like, some of this is on Will. We can all agree about some of this is genuinely on Will. People blame Jada for the slap. That's not her fault. That's a grown man. And he got up there and he slapped another grown man. You can't blame her for that. It's not like she used her powers. And people blame a lot of the marriage stuff on just Jada. Will is also married to Jada. You know what I mean? He could get a divorce if he wants to, but he doesn't want to. He does not want, and if you pay attention to the interviews, he said it. Divorce is not an option. He'd rather them live as single people and still be married than to get a divorce. Which is weird. It is weird. I understand. For a long time, they were the symbol of black love, especially in Hollywood, right? And that's a symbol that he carefully curated that maybe she didn't want to be a part of, but it's one of the reasons he can't let it go, because it's a failure that he will not accept, right? But to just live as two single people but still be married is weird. It's very odd. Who is it for? It's not for them. They're not together. It's not for us, because now she aired it out. Everybody knows. It's not for the kids, because they're already weird. So who is this for? And like, I mean, it must be rough. I do get it. I have empathy for both of them genuinely, because I think Will, you know, came on strong, wants to make it work and everything, and Jada was just not having it. And a part of me, you know, I'm wrapping up, but just a part of me, a part of me gets it. Because if it's not the life that she wanted, it shouldn't be the life she accepted. That's fair. You're an adult in the world and you make your own decisions and you need to live by them, right? But also, to be fair to her, I don't have a gorgeous millionaire trying to fuck me and marry me. I don't know. It probably seems pretty hard to turn down. I'm not gonna lie. Like if Zendaya walked in here right now and y'all look like you're together, if she told you, bro, if she was like, I want to marry you and be with you for the rest of my life, you'd probably be like, look, I'm in a happy relationship and I found my happiness. I hope you find yours. I'm not saying it'd be easy to say to her. You'd probably say it after I do, but I don't know if y'all saw, but Sam Bankman-Fried was found guilty on all charges. If you don't know who Sam Bankman-Fried is, he's the dude who looked like somebody microwave Shia LaBeouf. He was behind a multi-billion-dollar crypto scandal, and you know, took a lot of people's money. Had a lot of powerful friends, so he could take a lot of people's money. He was found guilty, and you know, he made a serious mistake. He stole money from rich people. Well, when you think about it, it's really all he did wrong. If you steal from the poor, you're gonna be pretty good off. Like, I don't know. This dude gonna go away for a long time. Which is crazy, because I don't really understand what he did. But I'm glad he didn't do it to me. I'm like, you ever just, because I never got into crypto because I didn't understand it, so you ever just be so dumb you miss a whole tragedy? Because I saw the whole thing coming. I was having FOMO and everything, and then everybody started losing their money. I was like, maybe it pays to not read sometimes. Maybe it's to my benefit that I have stayed as ignorant as possible on very specific subjects in life. I was having a conversation with a friend from back home, and so many things work in connection together to get me where I am. I saw this article about this guy. I think his name's, I might be mispronouncing it, but Brian Mwende, and he is in Kenya, and he was a lawyer. He was a fake lawyer. And he won 26 cases straight. 26 cases straight, one after the other. WWWW. And then they finally caught him. And now he is awaiting trial, where I pray he represents himself. That's phenomenal. 26. You got fake, and apparently it's a whole thing. I didn't know this. In Kenya, this is a whole thing. There are a bunch of fake lawyers, because he was just the first one. There's a bunch of fake lawyers that just never actually passed the bar, but they've been practicing. I guess they got a storefront or something. Like, I don't know, you just walk in and you're like, you seem like a lawyer. You know, the only way I know any lawyer has been a lawyer that I've ever worked with was the paper on the wall behind their desk. If that's fake, I have a fake lawyer. That's my favorite story, though. My favorite thing that happened was Paris Fashion Week.
If y'all aren't familiar, Paris has Fashion Week, and all these people high up in the fashion world, rich people, celebrities, they all descended on Paris for a week to see and be seen and stuff. And while they were there was an outbreak of bed bugs, which is hilarious. It couldn't be. You gathered all the richest people in the world together in one place and gave them bed bugs? Are we sure this wasn't an activist? You sure this wasn't Greta Thunberg trying new things? You know what I mean? Just her sitting there like, you take a jet, you pays the price. You know, could have been. We don't know. But it was amazing. They gave all those rich people bed bugs. It made me laugh so hard because it's Fashion Week, so half of them dress like bed bugs to begin with. So like, bed bugs probably thought it was mating season, you know what I mean? They were seeing them walk by like, okay, come through, thickness. I'm gonna take a bite of you later. But no, people from Fashion Week spoke to the press and the public, people from the local government spoke to the press and the public and everything. And mostly everyone was trying to maintain a sense of calm the entire time, right? We're very sorry that this is happening. This is not a reflection on our beautiful city. We're doing our best to move people. Just please stick with us, right? But there was one person that was my favorite. The deputy mayor also spoke to the public and the press. But when the deputy mayor came out, he was like, it's an outbreak. No one is safe. What kind of leader says no one is safe? We just came out of a global pandemic where no country's leader said no one is safe, even when no one was safe. That's crazy. Then the mayor, because the mayor came out, she was ready. She was like prim, proper. She made me feel reassured, and I wasn't even in Paris, right? And then she got this assistant-ass mayor behind her. No one is safe. She's probably like, get him out of here. It's crazy. No one is safe. Every leader I've ever had has tried to maintain a sense of calm in a crisis. I remember when I was in middle school, in English class. And English class was after lunch. And I'd seen this kid at lunch, and he had a nasty-ass lunch. I don't know what it was, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, he gonna be sick. That is disgusting. And so then I sat as far away from him as I could, corner of the classroom. And then middle of class, sure enough, his stomach started bubbling. And we all hear it. He just over here taking notes like... looking at us like, y'all don't hear me, right? It's like, of course we hear you. His stomach is loud as hell. And then in the middle class, he jumps up and runs out. And on the way to running out, because he was very sick, he threw up on the back of like 7 kids' heads. And our teacher said, calm down. I know y'all just got thrown up on. Let me get some towels. It's gonna be fine. She didn't say, no one is safe. You see what I mean? I worked at an Italian restaurant that burned down, right? It burned down, and even as the head chef was trying to put the flames out on his back, no one yelled, no one is safe. We just tried to put this man out. Actually, one of my favorite things about when that happened was, okay, so the chef is on fire, right? And then the line cook ran out to the dining hall where everybody else was, and then just yelled to the whole dining hall, we on fire, motherfuckers! Which is like as informative as it is unhelpful. Like, he's telling them the details, but not enough to get them moving. Also, we are not on fire, just he is on fire. Some of the building is on fire, but mostly as we, it's just him. He on fire by himself, right? And so no one knows what to do, because even if someone ran in now and was like, we on fire, motherfuckers, you wouldn't immediately jump up and run. They looked at him and they were like, so is he on drugs or what? And it wasn't until the chef ran out behind him out the door with a couple flames still on his back that everybody cleared out. He yelled, we on fire, motherfuckers. He didn't yell, no one is safe. What would even possess you to put the words to get to the public, no one is safe? Like when I think about it, now that I think about it, I think that was that deputy mayor low-key admitted he had bed bugs. That's what it was. It had to be no one is safe. That means I'm not safe. That's no one is safe. I wish there was video. There's no video of it happening. But you can tell that this is the case because anytime one of our leaders has to speak to us, they're calm because it's not their problem. That's what's happening. I grew up in Louisiana. Our whole state would get slammed by hurricanes, and the governor would come on TV and be like, we're gonna stick in this together, all right? We're all in this together. He's clearly in Massachusetts, by the way. We're all in this together, all right? Y'all just stick with me, we're gonna get through this. You know what I mean? I think that dude freaked out because it was his problem. It's hard to stay calm when you're in the middle of something, you know? I wish there was video. There's no video. I wish he would just come out, because you know he yelled it. You know, he was like, no one is safe. It's happening to everybody, including really cool people who don't deserve this. God damn, I wish there was a video just to see him be like, it's an outbreak, y'all. We doing our best, but this is bullshit.
I thought I had it all figured out, you know. I was sexting. And sexting's a very precarious situation. You want to make sure you're sexting at the right time, you know? Because if it's like 8 o'clock, you still got other people texting you, you know? You don't want to accidentally send a text that's incoming to somebody because you opened the thing, you know what I mean? And it's also like, what if you're not that skilled? Like, what if I'm not good texting with just my left hand? Now you texting typos and stuff. It's knocking the sexy right out of your sexting. You know, it's like, I'm gonna fud your bass. It's like, nobody's into it now. You know? So I had an idea. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I didn't talk to anybody about it. I had never heard anybody doing this, but in my mind, it was the best thing to do. I was like, I'm just gonna speak to text. So that way, I don't gotta worry about the other hand and everything, and I can just like get in the zone and stuff. I don't have to worry about other people texting me and everything. And it went horribly wrong. Because I wasn't at home. I was at my childhood home. So I was in my room, but it wasn't my house, you know? And it was, 9 o'clock or so, and we were sexted. Look, I'll read you the thing right now. This is what. Okay. All right. So she's like, "Oh, okay. And what's good? What would you do if you were here right now?" And then I was like, "Girl, I would tear those clothes off. And Mom, what are you doing in here?" Mom, I had the door closed. You can't just open the door. I was just coming to see if you wanted dinner. No, I'm okay. Mom, get out right now. Boy, how you gonna tell me to get out somewhere in my house? I'm sorry, Mom. Please, can you please leave and close the door? You know we don't have closed doors in this house. Which is true. That's a very like black family thing of like you not closing the door in my house. What you up to in there? And I was like, Mama, please leave. Please, please leave. And she was like, all right, what's the big deal? I was like, nothing, Mom, just please get out of here. So anyway, girl, I would say... All right, thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for Josh Johnson!
It genuinely has been an insane week, you know? Yeah, no, I know. No, it's that part.
I'm not gonna talk about it forever, but yeah. Oh, it's what you came for? Okay, good. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't want to hear about my life. No, okay. You know, Trump took office and he immediately signed a wild amount of executive orders. They've been one-upping each other every presidency for a little while. Like, I'm pretty sure Barack Obama signed more than Bush, and then Trump signed more than Obama, and then Biden signed more than Trump. But this was like astronomical. This was a whole lot, because basically Trump went ahead and signed executive orders that rolled back a lot of what Biden did, plus his own. Right? And he did some sweeping stuff. Like, he signed an executive order that began the steps for the U.S. to leave the World Health Organization. I did not do it. But what feels kind of wild to me about the executive orders that Trump is passing, and a lot of the things that we're going to see for the next few months into the rest of his presidency, is basically just a blueprint of everything that Project 2025 said that they were going to do. It's a project that he said he knew nothing about and had nothing to do with, but now that he's in office, they seem hella tight. It's kind of like when you tell the police you don't know somebody, and then the police are like, but here's a picture of you two right here. And the picture hella incriminating, because it's not you just happening to be in the picture with them, it's you being like, hey. You say that you're not boys, but in this picture here, you're holding a different picture of the two of you together. You're like... And sure enough, yeah, Trump signed an executive order that would start the process of the U.S. leaving the World Health Organization. And I feel like there are some things that Trump is doing because they're his idea, and some things that he's doing because his aides and the people that wrote up Project 2025 are pushing him to do it for whatever their own reasons are, right? Like, I feel like they went to Trump and they were like, we need you to pull out of the World Health Organization. Then Trump was like, who? And they were like, yes. And he was like, yes, what? And they were like, who? And he's like, who? And they were like, that's what we're saying. Who's who? And then he was like, I'll do what you want me to do, but I just need to know who it is. And it's like, who is who it is? That's who we want you to do it to. We have to pull out of who? Pull out? Who? Where? Yes, because we believe that who is dangerous. Who is dangerous? Yes, who is dangerous? Where is who? Well, sir, who's all over the world? Who is dangerous all over the world? Yes, that's why we have to pull out of who. I'm not in who, by the way. I'm just standing here. We're just gonna put it on a piece of paper and we need you to sign it. All right. And this is my main thing when it comes to pulling out of the World Health Organization, is that a lot of people take for granted things that are functioning in their life. Things are either good, you expect to be good, and things that are working, you're just like, yeah, it works because it's supposed to work, right? But sometimes we don't ask enough questions on how a working thing got to the way it was. And there hasn't been enough time in between when it didn't work and now for us to remember when it didn't work. Because if we lose access to the World Health Organization, it hurts the World Health Organization by a lot, but it also hurts us. Because then we lose access to their labs, to their data.
most of what happens and the way that cures and vaccines come about quickly is because all these countries are able to share information, which all sort of help us leapfrog over the last breakthrough that another country had. And because it's not a race, it's just shared information. It's just a group project. And our pharmaceutical companies, by the way, also need the World Health Organization to just stay on top of things, right? And I'm no fan of pharmaceutical companies. I'm just saying I'm a fan of people who are sick getting help, right? And so my thing is, if you pull out of the World Health Organization, as good as the doctors that we have in the US are, or at least can be, it won't be long before we're all just sort of WebMD. You know, it won't be long before a new thing, take something like COVID, right? No matter what you believe about the origins of COVID, you understand that something started up in China. And then because of the World Health Organization, everyone was able to talk about it, do testing, they were able to share findings, we were able to get to a vaccine pretty quickly, right? So now, let's say something comes out of another country. And we may know it's coming out of the other country from the news, but we don't actually know any breakthroughs because we're not sharing that data. And everyone has to start all over again every time they try to have a breakthrough. So now you'll just be a regular person walking up to other people like, hey, I'm just asking, just in general, just because I'm curious, but is anybody else like farting blue? No, me neither. No. That's crazy. I don't even know why I said that. That's just like crazy, but like it can happen. You know, I've been hearing on the news that it can happen, and there's people whose whole bathrooms look like a Smurf died. Like it's just, stuff can happen, you know? Just curious. Yeah. And then maybe someone does get sick, and then that sickness starts to spread. And maybe it's not something that we're used to. It's a completely new thing. So now you have somebody being like, hey, is anybody else that was like not born double jointed, been acting double jointed, like just everything can go in every which way? Because double joint people, they seem to not hurt when they do it, but I'm in a lot of pain. So if anyone has any ideas on what to do, I've been eating as much as I can to lower inflammation, but I'm still got my head spinning all the way around when I fall asleep. And then you won't be able to distinguish certain things because there are things that are not related that we know through science are like not related even though they're similar, right? You'll be able to know if you have a new thing or if you have a regular version of an old thing. Just walking up to somebody like, hey, look, I'm not trying to get the word out like that. I'm just curious if you've ever heard of this. Do you sleepwalk? Oh, you sleepwalk too? Oh, great. Do you ever sleepwalk and just wake up with a knife every night? Like, does that, just me? Okay. We'll have to look into it. This dude also signed an executive order, the one they promised to, delaying the TikTok ban. But while he was talking about it, after he signed it, he was basically saying like, oh yeah, you know, the US should own some part of it, maybe 50%, maybe more, who knows. And it's hard to tell when Trump talks about what the government should do, if he means the government should own it or he should own it. Because I'm not gonna lie, this TikTok thing is the most mob boss thing I've ever seen. It's the most like, oh, you like your little thing? Like, yeah, okay, maybe I own some of it. Maybe I own the whole thing. How about that? How about you get out of here? All right, it's mine now. One of the pettiest things that Trump did was he used an executive order to take back John Bolton's security detail. Now, I don't like John Bolton. I'm not like crying for John Bolton or anything. And if you know John Bolton, you'll know who I'm talking about. He looked like a Scooby-Doo villain. Like when John Bolton got the mustache of somebody who has retired from tying women to train tracks, all right? This dude one of my favorite John Bolton memories was one time he was on, I think it had to be Fox News, he was on, and for some reason, they must have been trying to kill time or something. They put John Bolton, now he was old back then, so this is old, but he was still old when this happened. They put this old man on a hoverboard. And it was as great as you could imagine. They literally try and explain to him what to do on the hoverboard while he's on the hoverboard, which is the worst time to tell somebody how to operate a hoverboard. Don't let them get on and then be like, okay, now subtly.
And so then this man, not knowing what to do, sort of moves his hips a little bit, and he just starts spinning. And you can go back and watch the clip. This man is screaming, ah, ah! But Trump took back his security detail. And it was just to be petty. It's just because he doesn't like John Bolton, and John Bolton doesn't like him, right? But it's one of the pettiest things I've seen from a government official, because all he's really doing, all Trump is really saying is like, hey, look, now that I'm back, I just want to make sure if you have any ops at all, that they have as little resistance as possible. Him pulling John Bolton's Secret Service detail is like if I uncalled 911 for somebody. Like they called 911 and I called right after, be like, hey, that last dude, he was just playing. Don't come. It's not a big deal. Don't come at all. I know he's like, oh, he has a knife or whatever, but don't come. He was just trolling. Even the executive order he signed renaming the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America. This is one thing that has to stop. It has to stop immediately because we cannot make it this hard on these kids. I remember when I was a kid. I remember when I was a child in school and they told me that Pluto was not a planet, but it was, but it wasn't, but it was, but it wasn't, and it is, but it isn't. And I failed every test where they asked me what Pluto was. I was like, there was one time where it was a fill-in. You had to describe the plants and you had to talk about what gases and everything the plant was made of and why we couldn't live on that planet, why Earth was perfect to live on. And when we got to Pluto, I didn't know what to say anymore because it had been a planet and then it wasn't a planet and then it had been a planet and it even changed like astrological signs or something like that. And so I was like, you know what? It's up there. How about that? Changing the Gulf. And then you even had publications like The Guardian being like, we're still gonna call it the Gulf of Mexico, but we will call it Gulf of America for context in places where it seems fit, where the president is being quoted. I was like, it is or it isn't. No. Then you had Trump signing executive order, you had Trump pardoning everybody from January 6th. That's wild. You ever had somebody go to jail from your neighborhood? Maybe this is just too specific to me, but you ever had somebody go to jail from your neighborhood and you're like, I'm not a snitch, but thank God. Oh. There was this dude named LaDon, right? And I can say his name because he never gonna get out. But there was a dude I knew named LaDon, and I remember when he got locked up, I was like, oh no, don't. Like, you know what I mean? Because you wanna show that solidarity, but the police were taking him. I was like, oh, how dare you, 5-0. I can't stand 12. LaDon, no. Oh, but LaDon was wild. He's like a proper criminal. It's like you know, because then his boys were wearing like free LaDon shirts, and I was just like, Anytime I saw one of them, I was like, oh no, I hope this doesn't have the support that I think it does. There was even one of his friends that wrote to the local, I think it was council person or something, trying to get him to look into it. And I'm not gonna lie, I low-key did like a John Bolton, and I also wrote to the local council. I was like, hey, he was just playing. LaDon need to be in there. Don't pay any attention to what he's saying. Like, he just kind of wilding right now. You know what it is? LaDon owe him $20, and he want the 20 back. He doesn't want him free. He should not be free. LaDon a bad person. LaDon was a bona fide monster. So now imagine LaDon go to jail. The hood is free. You've seen like homecoming parties for people when they get out of jail. I've never seen a party for somebody who just got arrested. Like, The people who felt like we finally had liberation were having a whole cookout off of this dude's charges. Just. And then his boys with the shirt came to the barbecue. I'm like, are you happy or not? But now imagine LaDon locked up. We can finally rest easy. And then the President of the United States is like, actually, nah, LaDon, well, he not innocent, but I don't care. And now he's coming home. That's gotta be what it feels like for some of these people. There were plenty of people, don't get me wrong, there were plenty people that were up there, did January 6th. They felt like the election had been stolen. They were sure that they had proof. They wanted to hang the vice president. They came in there with all the smoke, ready for all the juice. And then they get to go home too. This has to have been a wild experience if you are a J6er, because you were there. Remember when they pooped on the desk? They let them leave that day. They pooped on the desk that day, and then they were like, get out of here. And they were like, you right. And then they left. And they were very willing to be on camera. There were people interviewing each other about what they were doing. It's like, hey, Patriot, what are you doing? Oh, I'm tearing up Nancy Pelosi's office right now in protest of the election being stolen. This is me, James Atwood. I just made up a name, but they were saying their full names. They were saying their full names, and there was one dude that I'm pretty sure was trolling because he was literally getting people to say their address, and that felt insane. Like, I've never had to say my address out loud to somebody I didn't know. And then police come, and they're like, hey, get out of here. And then people left, and you saw them leave. You saw them leave different parts of the rotunda, everything, with smirks on their faces. And then over the course of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, started picking them up left and right. People started, hey, he was there. Oh, they're posting about it. It was on their social that they were there and what they did, right? Them pepper spraying, them throwing stuff at police, all that stuff. And then they start getting arrested. And they're like, what? But I thought, how could this be? How? And then they were sitting in jail. And then, before Trump left, they were like, surely he'll pardon us. And he was like, I'll see y'all in a bit. You know? Because there was a lot of like misunderstandings about who we could pardon and who we couldn't and when people were charged and all this stuff like that. And then he becomes president again. This dude is now president again. And then he pardons them. And woof. Normally, I'm used to seeing a lot of people get out of jail through like innocence projects and stuff like that. People who did not do something. And then they're like, I never thought anyone would believe me. I thought I was going to sit in jail and now I'm free. And they're nothing but grateful. They get out, they're hugging their families, they're crying and stuff. And that has not been the case with the J6. Everybody that got let out is very angry. They're so angry, and a lot of them have already tweeted, I'm buying a gun. And it's like, why would you tell anybody that? You were already caught on camera doing the thing, and now you're like, and now that I'm out, I've got a gun. Okay, LaDon. Like, it's crazy too, because this dude signed that executive order for DOGE, for the Department of Government Efficiency, that Elon is supposed to run. Which Elon's also had a week. Because Elon was supposed to run Doge, and he was supposed to really like get in there of what the budgets were, of who everyone was and everything, and he was going to reshape government in the image that he saw best fit him, his businesses, and his worldview, right? And then, I don't know how he did it, but he already like did something that Trump didn't like.
Of course he did.
Like, it happened quickly because this dude was supposed to have an office that was near the Oval Office, right? And then one of Trump's, I think a cabinet member, but maybe it's an aide. I can't remember who it was. But they told Elon outright, they were like, hey, you're not gonna be around here. And in fact, you're not gonna talk to the president, you're gonna talk to me. Which is wild. Now, don't get me wrong, that person is also like a huge MAGA Trump Republican, but still, the fact that they felt the need to wedge themselves between Trump and Elon already speaks volumes. You know, because Elon, you know, was standing behind the presidential seal. And this is how you know that a lot of people are truly out of their minds. This dude did a Nazi salute that we then debated if it was a Nazi salute for like every day after, including the day of. And I don't know if you should be allowed to talk if you can't believe your eyes. Do you know what I mean? Like, there were people that were like, that was not a Nazi salute. He was throwing his heart out to the crowd. I'm like, well, he has a weird pitch. You know what I mean? I always throw my heart like this. And he did it twice to make sure you knew what it was. Which is pretty wild. One thing that I like about Elon, which is not many things, is that he always manages to quickly make the people that take up for him look super stupid. Like, really dumb. Because so many people had so many different things. They came to his defense. It was several things at once. It was like, guys, no, that was not a Nazi salute, okay? It was a Roman salute. I'm like, all right, you ever split a hair before? Apparently you don't know what that looks like. No, it wasn't a Roman salute. He has Asperger's. I know a lot of people with Asperger's. I know a lot of people that are on the spectrum. I know a lot of people with, you know, different types of autism on different parts of the spectrum. And when I've hung out with them, and they've needed to point, or they want to show me affection, you know what they never did? Anything that looked like that. It's pretty crazy. It's like 100% fundamentally insane that people within, I don't know. Maybe there's some law I don't know about where if you are a news publication and you say someone did a Nazi salute and they didn't actually do a Nazi salute, that they'll like sue you into oblivion and you just won't exist anymore. But I feel like when you see it, you can say it. And the fact that so many notable publications were like, he did a thing that appeared to be, none of us have ever got the leeway that Elon got that day. If there was a video of me stealing out of a store, the headline would not read, Josh Johnson is holding something that appears to not be his in the form of a Best Buy electronic. You see how that works? You see how when you see something, you can say exactly what it is and the world won't shatter? I do think genuinely that if people call out what they saw, they might feel the need to do something about it. So rather than do any of that, let's sidestep it and just be like, look, maybe it would, but I don't know. Who knows? These do. Like, in what world do you not know? You saw it. And you know how you know you saw it? Because Nazis saw it. And you know who was excited about it? Was Nazis. They were very excited. And if they think they saw it, then what are you doing now? If they're very sure of what it was, what do you look like being so unsure? No, it was a Roman salute. No, he has Asperger's. No, he's just awkward and he gets excited. I'm awkward. I got a lot of problems. And you know what I've never done? But truly, that's like that's a thing that I watch happen. And then so many people are like, guys, he's anything but a Nazi. He's not a Nazi. He loves Jewish people. And then we pointed to tweets where people showed whole sick conspiracy theories against Jewish people and anti-Semitic rhetoric. And then he would comment under it, that's true. but somehow he's not a Nazi. And then, for everyone who was still like on the fence or still hardcore, pro Elon, he's not a Nazi, y'all. He went ahead and did y'all a huge favor. He attended an AFD rally via satellite in Germany and told them, hey, you gotta let go of the past, y'all. We can't keep feeling bad about stuff that happened. The AFD, by the way, which is the most Naziest of the Nazi, he's like, no, you gotta be proud of your Germanness. These are all dog whistles, but you can hear it. You know, I hear you, dog. And then Trump signed this executive order that rolled back protections and acknowledgement of trans people, all right? And, I didn't do it. And the thing is, you know, if there's anything that I wish Trump would ban that had anything to do with gender, it would be gender reveals. They're getting genuinely dangerous. I watched a gender reveal where they had, because they're creative in the worst ways. Because then I watched this gender reveal where they had a blue plane and a pink plane, right? And both planes were flying at the couple, right? And then I guess whichever plane, I don't really know how it's supposed to work because both planes flying, so I don't know how we're gonna figure out what the baby is. You know what I mean? So then the pink plane veered off to the right and the blue plane kept straight. So I guess that meant it was a boy because they started celebrating, right? But they started celebrating without moving and the plane was still coming at them. And so it's not a big plane, but it's a little bigger than a toy plane and it hit the husband in the face and chopped his head all up. Like he's alive, he's fine, but you could tell it hit him hard and he trying to still celebrate, but he's clearly concussed. He's 100% concussed, just oh. Didn't even put a hand out or anything. I don't know who is like winning with this thing. You know, maybe if you're a tech billionaire, you're doing very well because he's gonna push through to like lower regulations so that you can make things as fast as possible, even if those things need some guardrails because they might be potentially dangerous, whatever, you know. And if you really hate other people, then yes, you're having a good week. But for Americans, like specifically for us, I don't know what these things do. You know? Like I don't know what rolling back what few protections there were for trans people does for me. I thought the election was about safety and eggs. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was like, everyone was talking about eggs a lot. Like everybody was like really hitting those eggs. I didn't know eggs were everybody's favorite food. Like eggs, people weren't even talking about bread. They were talking specifically about eggs. I think a lot of people went to like Kroger or Walmart or something on the wrong day and they were like, hell no, eggs is my number one issue. I'm a one issue voter and eggs is that vote. And so I don't know what any of this has to do with eggs. But it doesn't seem like we're getting there. You know? Even the language of the executive order was weird. The language of the executive order was like, you have to treat and address people as the sex that they were assigned at conception, which is not how, that's not how anything works. If it's conception, when it happens, then there's no men. There would be no dudes. This is not a plan.
Like, this is terrifying. Don't be wrong. There are plenty of people who are scared, and there are plenty of people who don't know what to do next. And one thing I really want people to stop doing, and I'm not anybody's boss. You can do what you want. You can probably, whatever, screw me. But we're not like cooked. Don't do that thing. Don't give up immediately. Like there's a sort of rhetoric and an idea that like, oh, we're finished and this is it, and like there's nothing that can be done. It's like guys, no. But then you see people devastated, giving up very quickly. Oh man, we're ruined. We're so cooked. It's like I mean, if you believe that, then we are. Like if you earnestly believe that, then yes, absolutely. That's what cooked looks like, because cooked is done, and you like your steak raw. So, yeah, I mean, like day one we're cooked. That's also, that kind of made me furious. I'm not gonna lie. Not even like an armed resistance attacking people or something like that. Oh, we're cooked. It's like, you saw him with his pen. Like, I'm saying genuinely, people, please, if you feel anything, then you should openly speak it. One of the reasons that these things spread, why negativity spreads, why like the general pessimism towards movements spread, is because people let their doubt reign over everything, all of their discussion, all of their thinking. It's like, I'm not saying that I know exactly what to do about executive orders that he passed that I don't agree with. Those things are for the courts to hopefully fight, But I will say, for every person that I know that was affected by an executive order that he has, that I know is scared, I talk to that person. And I tell them, hey, I'm at least here. Now, I'm not the president, but I'm here for you, locally, right? That's how you build community. And that's how you keep people from being afraid. Because people don't know. They genuinely don't know that there are people that are willing to back them up. They have no idea, right? He signed an executive order that was supposed to take away birthright citizenship for people who were not already citizens, and to stop any confusion, it was going to be birthright citizenship starting now, right? Because if it was for all time, then like half of his cabinet, they wouldn't even know where to take them, put them. And then he started work on this thing that he'd been promising. And it was a thing that people didn't really think he was going to do, of like mass deportations. And so far, these are the numbers so far as I know them. Once again, I'm willing to be like fact checked. If I'm wrong. But this is from what I've read and from what I know, this is basically what has happened. They did some ICE raids in places like Chicago, and there were some in Texas too, Arizona, and like plenty of like sanctuary cities. That's ones they were like targeting initially. I'm not sure why, because you would think in the red states that vote for this thing, they would want it first. Like, that just seems like it's making nobody happy. And they rounded up some people, and they went ahead and took off for Mexico. And so then they take off for Mexico. We did it. We raided. We got some people. Gonna drop them off at Mexico because these are Mexican illegal immigrants, right? And so then FAA comes on and they're like, hey, don't land here. And I do think that nobody really thought that part through. I don't think people really thought. And then even when they let them land, they were like, don't let them off the plane. Just turn around. And they were like, all right, okay. We will be back though. We'll be back with more, right? Because I should be clear here that apparently, from what I've read, just deporting these 80 people cost the taxpayers $700,000. So I do not know how we're gonna save any money. I don't know how this plan is gonna work. 80. There's supposedly 11 million undocumented immigrants in the US, right? 11 million, so 3.3% of the population, right? And we started with 80. If I owed somebody $11 million, and I told them, hey, I ain't got all that right now, but I do have this 80, I'm getting my ass beat. That's crazy. 80 and $700,000. I'm not in government. I'm not acting like I know how to fix a situation. I'm not acting like I know what to do about where we're at. But I will say this. If I know I got to spend $700,000 to get 80, this is just me. I'm not telling anybody else to do it. This is just me. This is what I would do if it were me and I knew $700,000 for 80. I would just tell those 80 people, listen, I'm gonna break you off some. Start a new life somewhere else. You get 1/80th of 700,000, right? And come back in like 6 months, all right? Because that's one thing that you will not hear. As this whole thing builds out, you will not hear about people coming over illegally. They're going to act like it's not happening. They're going to act like it's all going one way. They're denying everything. They're denying all of these legal ways to become a citizen, legal ways to gain citizenship, legal ways to get a card or just to be able to work in the U.S. They canceled a lot of appointments for people who were doing the right thing, right? And so my thing is just use your logic and pay attention to what is not being said over the next few months to several years, because they're not going to want to admit that these people are coming in still, even while they're making these efforts, because it will make them look even more desperate, even less efficient, you know? Because they told us before the election all of these incredible stories about how migrants were coming in. They were like, and look, I don't even know how they're doing it, but in Honduras and Guatemala, they're disassembling themselves, mailing themselves here, and then reassembling themselves, and then walking around amongst us. But now that they've supposedly shut down the border, they want us to believe that all of these legal ways of entering have also just stopped. And that's not true. You're fighting a losing battle if it takes you $700,000 to send 80 people somewhere that says, hey, we're not... You know what I mean? That's one of the craziest things too. Is a deeply ironic thing that they did all this, sent the people over, and then the other countries were like, "Hey, those are American immigrants." No, that's crazy. No, and I think a lot of it. I think a lot of the tactics that have been taken and some of the logic that's been used on the news and everything is just is genuinely fear based. It's to rile you up. It's to make you feel afraid and everything. And you know, even in the executive orders, 100 executive orders or so, and so many of them don't really say anything. They don't really do anything. You just sort of make a show of signing it. You know. Because I'll be honest with you, I saw some of the raids that were taking place and some of the statements that people made and how they're taking things that were normally off the table, they're putting them back on so they can come in your church, they can come in your school. People are scared to go to places that felt safe and everything. And I will say I don't know exactly what to do. I'm not acting like I have any answers. I just don't know how possibly this is the road, this is the tack to take, you know? People will say things like, oh, they don't pay any taxes. It's don't they eat? Then didn't they pay the sales tax? Didn't they pay? And by the way, this not paying taxes thing, they get paid under the table by Americans, by the way. There's no job that they have that an American doesn't give them, and pay them under the table in cash, and probably pay them a little less than minimum wage. Probably pay them in even numbers. So what money could you possibly stand to gain? And I'm not saying the money doesn't exist, that it's not there, and that there shouldn't be a path to legal citizenship so that they can pay all the taxes that we all pay. I'm just saying that, are they each owing more than $700,000 when you put 80 of them together? I don't know.
You seen him all over the Daily Show. You seen him on YouTube. I want y'all to put your hands together, put your hands together, put your hands together. Give it up for Josh Johnson.
My most recent obsession is this court case, this lawsuit against Cardi B. All right. If you're not familiar with Cardi B is a rapper, and she is also a national treasure. Cardi B is incredible, and this case is pretty wild. Basically, what is being alleged in this case is that Cardi B assaulted a security guard. It's alleged that Cardi B assaulted the security guard, and you hear both stories throughout the case. The security guard's story is that she was at work, securing the building. And then Cardi B walks in, and then she's like, "Oh, Cardi B." And Cardi B didn't seem to like that she was approached, that Cardi B was like, "What are you doing right now? Why are you in my face?" And that Cardi B got nasty with her very quickly. And so they were in the elevator together, and she said that she followed Cardi B out of the elevator to clear up any confusion. I don't know if it was to apologize or anything, but she admits that she did follow Cardi B into the elevator and out of the elevator. And then she said Cardi B really lost it and started cursing at her and everything, and then started swinging on her and stuff, and that she got a little nick on her cheek from Cardi B scratching her face, right? And then the receptionist and the doctor that Cardi B was there to see, because Cardi B was in the building for a doctor's appointment, that they broke up the fight, and then everybody went about their way. But because of this assault, because of this nick on her face, she is suing Cardi B for about $24 million. I'll tell you right now, for $24 million, Cardi B could cut up my whole leg, okay? If Cardi B chopped up my leg and gave it back to me in a bucket, I would be like, "You'll be hearing from my lawyer." $24 million. That's crazy. So then, Cardi B's account of things is that she was going to the doctor. At the time, she was pregnant. She didn't want anybody to know she was pregnant. She didn't tell anybody, and she didn't even tell her security guard where she was going that day, her personal security, because she was just trying to keep this whole thing private, right? And even the doctor's office had blocked out time just to make sure they didn't have other clients coming in back and forth, and Cardi B was gonna be the last appointment of the day, right? So Cardi B shows up to the building, and then immediately she hears Cardi B, and so already that's not ideal, right? Like that could happen at any time. Cardi B is very famous, but then she is getting in the elevator, and then she notices the person who screamed Cardi B got in the elevator with her and has a phone in her face, and so she goes, "What are you doing? Aren't you security?" Because she had security on her hands. And then she's talking to her while she's in the elevator, and then she exits the elevator, and she said she can still feel this person behind her. So then she turns around, she's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you recording me? You gotta get out of my face. I'm trying to go to the doctor." And then that's when the person who was recording her, the security guard, got real angry and was like, "I could do what I want. It's my phone. This is my building," which is a misunderstanding of what security is. If that really was said, oof. I've never met a security guard who thought they were clocking in to own the building for a little while. But then they got into what Cardi B says was only a verbal altercation. There was the receptionist and the doctor that came into, I guess, the hallway to break things up. But she said, I didn't touch her, she didn't touch me, so I didn't really think of it again, you know? Because if you don't know Cardi B, you should at least know that she's used to verbal altercations. I'm sure they don't stick with her. She was on Love and Hip Hop. And so then she just sort of goes about her life, and then she gets hit with this $24 million lawsuit. This whole thing, to me, just my opinion, but this whole thing feels like when that dude tried to sue Gwyneth Paltrow for millions. Remember that dude, Gwyneth Paltrow, if you aren't familiar with this, basically Gwyneth Paltrow went skiing one time, and then this other dude went skiing, and I don't know exactly how it went down, but I guess they bumped into each other at some point, and then the guy got up and he was like, wow, you're Gwyneth Paltrow. Oh, I'm ruined. No, because this is the thing. Coming after Cardi B seems like kind of easy in a lawsuit like this, just because she was on shows like Love and Hip Hop, and in Love and Hip Hop there's a lot of this. In Love and Hip Hop, whether you're watching Atlanta, Hollywood, New York, there's a lot of almost fights. You know what I mean? Usually it is stirred up by the producers. They get everybody nice and drunk, and then they're like, hey, you won't believe what she said. And then they always believe what she said. And so, you know, Cardi B's been known to pretty much never back down. In fact, there was this old case, I don't think anything ever came to it in like a court sense, but Cardi B was doing I think it was a festival, could have been a concert, and somebody threw something on stage. You know, somebody threw like a water bottle. And this has happened a lot in like the past, I don't know, people lost their minds through COVID and everything, and now people sometimes even film themselves throwing something on stage. I don't know if it's like to get a reaction out of the performer, and every performer has a different reaction to it. There are some people who, as soon as something gets thrown, they walk off stage, show's over, and they don't even try to continue. There are some people that try to dodge it, act like it didn't happen. There are some people that try to dodge it and then try to find the person who did it and get security to kick them out and everything. Well, basically, there was a time where someone threw a water bottle at Cardi B, and I believe she dodged it, but she must have seen who did it, because she immediately threw the microphone at them. They probably thought Cardi B was gonna be some easy pickings. They were like, I'll throw my water bottle now. She's clearly unarmed. And can I just say, throwing a microphone at somebody is one of the funniest projectiles to throw. Because it's the only one where you get to hear their reaction to something being thrown at them in real time. Imagine Cardi B throw a microphone right back at them, and they're like, oh, is that a... Last thing the crowd hears before the show ends is, whoa, watch out! Even better if they turned around, they threw the water bottle, they're like, I think I got it! And so, well, they had this court case, and I don't know. Cardi B better than me. If I were me, I'd be losing my mind right now. $24 million for. That's what she's alleging. Like, the security guard is alleging $24 million. I don't even think I got $24 million worth of head. I think even if I was in a horrific accident, I'd probably only get like 10, maybe. And that's with half the head missing. $24 million just feels insane. And so, they go to court and Cardi B's got a lawyer, security guards got a lawyer, and security guard's lawyer does seem bad at this. I don't know the law. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even know some of the stuff they're saying. When they get into like the real nitty-gritty, like the weedsiness of the law, I don't know what's happening, right? All I know from all my hours of watching Law and Order is that if you're a lawyer and you're talking in court, you're talking, right? And then the other side keeps saying objection, and then the judge keeps saying sustain, you're not exactly doing well. And that's what's been happening this entire trial. The judge basically sustaining the whole thing. Like, this lawyer for the security guard keep withdrawing his own questions mid-question because he can feel a sustain coming. And like some of the questions don't have anything to do with anything. It's one thing if you're badgering the witness or you're really trying to like rile them up and get them to admit something, you try and catch them in a lie or something like that. It doesn't even feel like that's what's happening. This dude will just be asking questions that have nothing to do with anything or the case. It feels like he's just a Cardi B fan. The amount of times that Cardi B's lawyers have had to say objection, relevance is astounding. He's asking her all sorts of questions. At one point, though, he gets back on track and he asks Cardi B, you're saying that you felt threatened by my client. The security guard says, client, you saying you feel threatened by my client. I'm wondering why you feel so threatened. What was the issue? What was the issue? And then Cardi B says, I was pregnant and she's coming at me. I think she wants to beat me up and I'm pregnant. Hello? Hello? And then he goes, hello, hello. Hello, I'm here. And that's when it occurred to me that maybe what's happening is that this security guard's lawyer, maybe, just throwing it out there, potentially has never met a black person. I think if you've never met a black person in your life, and your first black person is Cardi B, that's a bit of a crash course. That would be like if I never met a white person in my life. Never met a white person, never talked to a white person, didn't even see one in a movie. Never met a white person. Then my first white person ever was Bill Nye the Science Guy. I think I might be walking away with some incorrect assumptions about white people. I think I go back home and tell all my friends and family, oh yeah, white people, they love space. No, they got a bunch of facts about turtles ready at the hip. Oh, and they love bow ties. Can't stop them from wearing a bow tie. The only time I've seen something like this exact moment, this type of thing, this like misunderstanding in that way, was on a TV show called To Catch a Predator. Okay. I don't know if you remember To Catch a Predator, but in case you never watched it, this was some insane reality TV. Basically, To Catch a Predator, they did just that. They would lure and then trap predators online who thought they were talking to underage kids, right? And they would have all these long conversations with them, and then they try to meet up with them. But when they tried to meet up with them, they would go to like the Sting house, right? And at this house, they would show up thinking they're meeting this underage person. Turns out they're meeting Chris Hansen. If you don't know Chris Hansen, you don't know Dateline. All you need to know about Chris Hansen was he was the To Catch a Predator. Oh, you'd hate to see Chris Hansen coming if you were a predator. And so they would lure these predators to this house. And then especially season 1 was like no other thing. Season 1, when people didn't know what was happening, that was some of the wildest television I've ever seen. Because they didn't know who Chris Hansen was, all of them. Some of them did, right? But most of them did not. And so they'd show up to this house thinking that they're gonna meet this underage kid, and they might even call out a name or something. Then Chris Hansen would walk in. Chris Hansen walk in holding some papers and everything. Now, because they don't know who Chris Hansen is, they think maybe this is the person's dad or something. So they immediately, they feel caught, but they don't know how caught they are, right? So then Chris Hansen would walk in and be like, "Hi, how's it going?" And then he'd tell them to sit down, and they always sat down. Chris Hansen would sit them down, and then he'd ask them what they were doing here. And they'd try to come up with some sort of lie on the fly or something. And then he would ask them how they know this underage kid, and they'd try to come up with some lie on the fly, something like that. And then Chris Hansen would be like, "Oh, that's interesting because I have the transcripts of your conversation." And no matter what color they were, you watched the color leave their face. And then Chris Hansen would ask them what they meant by certain things in the transcript of the messages and stuff, and these people would just sink. They were terrified, devastated, right? And then Chris Hansen would be like, "Okay, all right, you've answered all my questions. You can go." And even the predator would be like, "What? Really?" Like, yeah, you can go. You can go. And they'd be like, "Oh, okay. I mean, I thought my life was ruined or something. All right." And then they would get ready to walk out. And when they walked out, they were immediately tackled by the local police department.
And not just tackled, like properly football tackled. This would have been unnecessary roughness in the NFL. This is the only time nobody's gonna take you to task over police brutality. You know what I mean? Because the police, to their credit, they would announce themselves and say, "Get on the ground." They were just saying, "Get on the ground" when they were already airborne. Police would be in the air, legs up. "Get on the ground!" It's like, you know your shoulder about to be in his neck. They would tackle him, and they'd cuff him up, and then they'd throw him in the car, and they'd take him to jail. And then in jail, they would go to the interrogation room, and they'd have to answer all of Chris Hansen's questions all over again. I guess him asking was just practice. And there was this one time where this guy comes in, and I don't remember what season it was, but this guy had a very interesting aesthetic. Like he was white, but he had a very like Vanilla Ice vibe to him. You know what I mean? And so he walked in, but when he walked in, he was like. Chris Hansen walked in, and then when Chris Hansen walked in and told him to sit down, he was like, I. And then Chris Hansen does the thing that he does, asks him why he's there, asks him why he's been talking to this underage kid and everything. And then a thing I forgot to mention before that also happened in all the episodes was when Chris Hansen finally announced himself, where he was like, "I'm Chris Hansen with NBC's To Catch a Predator." Cameras would come out from all these different rooms, right? And it was always, without fail, too many cameras. It was always a number of cameras where I'm like, there's no way all those cameras on. There would be people with cameras in the hallway because they couldn't get in the kitchen, just lifting the camera up. Be way too many cameras. And so then the cameras roll in once Chris Hansen announces himself, and then this guy sitting there pulls down his cap a little bit and says to Chris Hansen and all of the cameramen, "I'm not really trying to be on TV, you feel me?" repeats it. I'm not really trying to be on TV. You feel me? You feel me? You feel me? And Chris Hansen, without missing a beat, this man says, I'm not really trying to be on TV. You feel me? And Chris Hansen says, yes, we are filming. And I haven't seen such a misunderstanding until the security guard's lawyer says to Cardi B, hello? Yeah, I'm here. That man lucky. That man lucky Cardi B at no point in her testimony hit him with a like that. That would have broken his brain. That would have ruined his life. He would have bent his knees. Oh! Everybody get out! What's happening? No. Because once again, this dude is wild. This dude is asking her questions about things that have nothing to do with anything. At one point, I think he's really in his head. He's having his like Perry Mason runaway jury moment. Like he's doing something right out of Law and Order in his head because he gets his planted stance. He starts going in on Cardi B and he says, today versus yesterday, all right? Yesterday, you had short black hair. Today, it's long blonde hair. 2 days ago, it was long black hair. Which is it? I don't know why he thought he had her. That was incredible. I don't know what I think he expected Cardi B to be like, I don't know. Oh no. What's happening? I thought he probably had some follow-up questions ready. It's like, if you're changing your hair, how do we know you're not changing your story? All right? Miss Cardamom Basil. If that is your real name. And Cardi B just laughed it off. She was like, they're wigs. Like, what do you want me to do? And then, he gets into the stuff that's more relevant to the case, and he's trying to grill her back and forth with question after question after question. And he finally gets to this point where he's like, why did you feel threatened? She says the pregnancy thing and everything. But he's like, you said yourself that my client is about your height. Why would you be intimidated by her? And then Cardi B goes, yeah, I mean, she's a little bit taller than me, but she's bigger than me and everything. And I don't know what she wants to do. Now it seems like this person wants to beat me up. I don't know. Like, I don't know if they went from wanting a picture to beat me up or just wanted to beat me up and record. I don't know what's happening, right? And so then this guy goes, why are you so intimidated by it? You're saying that she's bigger than you. What makes you say that? And then Cardi B goes, Like, do I have to say it? No? And then he's like, are you calling my client fat? Are you calling my client fat? All right? Did you call her fat that day? In fact, you called her fat that day, didn't you? And then Cardi B is like, no, I was only calling her the B word. Like, it was really just that. I didn't really have time for anything else, Sort of said that over and over again. Didn't really get to work in any other details. And this lawyer, I don't know, like even this, even it's like now what we're getting into is stuff that I guess isn't nice, but I don't know how it helps his case, because then he just keeps egging it on. He's like, but you said that and you said other things, didn't you? You said other things. And then Cardi B, to her credit, it starts admitting everything that she said, right? She starts just repeating verbatim in court. She just cursing in court openly, just non-stop cursing in court, right? And he's like, is that what you said? Say exactly what you said. I mean, she's right here, right now. Say it again. Say it to her face. Say it again. And then even Cardi B is like, what is happening? Like, you want me to curse her out again? Like, is this one like a freebie or something? Like, I can't tell what's happening. No, it's like, no, you were so threatened. You were so completely threatened by my client. You know, what makes you so threatened? And then she's like, well, at the time I was pregnant and I was 130 pounds. All right, and then she was like twice my size. You know what I mean? And then once again, he gets on the same thing. He's like, "Are you calling my client fat?" And she's like, "No, I'm not saying. She just, you know."
No, what? I don't know. What are you trying to say? Say it. Say what you want to say. There's no harm here. Say it. She's security heavy. That's so much worse. And this man keeps going. He's like, what do you mean security heavy? What are you trying to say? She's security heavy. What does that even mean? And Cardi B is like, you know, she built like she protect buildings. If it were me and I was Cardi B, I'd probably be sitting there furious. Cardi B better than me, you know? I'd probably be sitting there so angry. I'm just trying to live my life. I was trying to go to the doctor privately. My business is always out there. People get paid to get up in my business and everything. And I'm just trying to have a quiet moment. I'm not feeling well. I believe was her first child and everything. No one knows that she's pregnant. And then this whole thing blows up and then she gets sued for $24 million. You know, she's better than me. I'd be sitting there furious at that lawyer. Huh? And if I was a security guard sitting there watching this happen, I'd be furious at that lawyer. What are you doing? You just getting me roasted in open court. This doesn't feel like it's getting me any closer to $24 million.
Oh. Because I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm better than anybody, okay? If times get tough, if things get rough for me, I run into George Clooney. It's just me and George Clooney in the hallway. I know I haven't been able to pay my rent or anything. Is his word against mine? I'm gonna see George Clooney. I'm gonna put my hand on the ground. I'm just gonna.
Look at what George Clooney did to me. Why would Ocean's 11's George Clooney do this? I thought he was a good man. I can't believe that Ocean 12's own George Clooney would step on my hand like this. What's that you say? He still owns the tequila company? Oh no. Who would have thought Ocean's 13 George Clooney would be capable of something like this? I thought he'd be president one day.
Nah, easily.
Easily. It doesn't have to be George Clooney. I don't even need like A-list. I really don't. If I see Neil deGrasse Tyson, times are tough, I run into Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm throwing a bowling ball straight up in the air and catching it with my head. I was like, oh no! I can't believe Neil deGrasse Tyson did one of Newton's laws of motion to me. I think it was the first one. No. Doesn't have any popular person will do, you know? If I see William H. Macy, I'm gonna run into a wall like that dude from the show Fargo. I'm gonna run right into. If I ever meet William H. Macy, he better pray we outside. Because if she's trying to get money out of Cardi B, you know, this is not the way. She over here admitting that she only got nicked. Just a little. That quick. That. And she said that she had to have 2 plastic surgeries. Even brought the plastic surgeon to court. And the plastic surgeon came into court with a picture, right? Now, the plastic surgeon, this is also why I feel like this case is bogus, because she doesn't have a picture of the scratch from the day that it happened. Her plastic surgeon had to come in and do a before and after picture. And honestly, I don't know if that dude, the plastic surgeon, I don't see what he did. Like, it's... Even when they tried to show the cut, like the little scar that Cardi B supposedly gave her, maybe they didn't zoom in enough. Like, I don't know but they had the little line pointing straight to it, and I'm squinting. It doesn't even look like Cardi B did $24 of damage. Oh, you try and get money out of Cardi B, this is not the way to do it. All you gotta do is make sure y'all are still alone. The other problem, and the reason this whole case feels fishy, is because her lawyers, and I suppose even her, didn't want the receptionist or the doctor that broke them up testifying. That seems suspicious. If I got $24 million worth of damage done to me, I'd call everybody who was within earshot. You know what I mean? Oh, you heard me. You remember? I was like, oh no, $24 million just fell out of my face, right? So the fact that her lawyers didn't want those people testifying seems fishy. And then you kind of understand why. I don't know if she was a fully surprise witness or anything, but I know they were trying to block it for a long time. And so the receptionist finally sits down on the stand and testifies, right? And the security guard's lawyer is over here asking just all the relevant questions, right? And some of the questions are getting objected to and then sustained because they're a little leading. You know what I mean? Like he asked a question about how wasn't it my client's job to see fit who should and should not be in the building? And then obviously Cardi B's lawyers objected, because how is the receptionist for one office building in this entire building supposed to know all the ins and outs of the security guard's job, right? And they get to this moment where the receptionist comes out because she says that she heard a commotion, and she gets out there and Cardi B is up against a wall like this, like back up against the wall, and security guard is yelling in her face, right? And so then she, immediately upset by what she's seeing, gets in between the two of them and is breaking it up and tells the security guard, I don't know what's going on here, but you need to go back to your post. This is very unprofessional, everything. And everybody's screaming just so everybody can be heard, right? And the lawyer gets excited. He's like, and so do you think that this could be the moment that Cardi B scratched my client's face? And then the receptionist goes, actually, I'm really the only one that got hit out of the both of them. Like, I was... You know, you try to be a good Samaritan, but... And not only does she say that she's like the only one that got hit between them, but she got a scratch on her face, a scratch that bled, and a scratch on her face that bled that came from the security guard. You could tell the lawyer's out here panicking. He's... Whoops. Okay, all right. And so then he starts, in my opinion at least, sort of like badgering her a little bit with questions to try to like double back from the fact that now it looks like the only person that may have assaulted someone is his client. And so he then says, he's like, yes, but you also weren't there the entire time, so you didn't witness the entire altercation. Maybe Cardi B spit on my client before you got there. Maybe she scratched her face before you got there, but you got there and you broke it up and you say that you didn't see anything. But maybe something happened before you got there. You don't know. You don't know. And then the receptionist was like, yeah, I guess I didn't know what it was like to be there till I was there. Yes, I suppose. Like, you got me there. Because it's not just the scratch, I should point out. The scratch is the main thing, but the security guard is also, to my knowledge at least, alleging that Cardi B got her fired as well. You know? And then they had the doctor testify. And I won't say that the security guard's lawyers tried to poison the jury, because they were pushing a narrative the entire time, and the narrative was that obviously the receptionist and the doctor would back Cardi B because she was a client of theirs, a patient, so it benefits them to back up her story, right? And they even say as much while the two people are on the stand, you know? But then the receptionist says, no, actually, the security guard hit me up and said we should sue Cardi B. And I was like, nah, because you started it. Which is also not great for a security guard's lawyer. He's over here, okay, well, look, nothing further. And then they had the doctor testify. Now, the doctor was the last to sing, so by the time he comes out, the receptionist is getting in between Cardi B and the security guard. So he said he was also very upset about what was happening, you know, and he was trying to make sure this thing got broken up. Now, the doctor said, look, what I saw wasn't just unprofessional, it was very concerning to me. And I got out there, and the only thing I could think to do was try to match the body language of the security guards. I don't even know what that means, but I imagine it means he ran up out there, he saw three people arguing, and he was like, hey! Cut that out! Because by his own account, it's not like he the one pulling people from people or anything. Reception has already broken it up and taken some punishment, and so... And then took Cardi B in, they had their appointment and everything, and then he was so disturbed by what happened and what he saw that he reached out to Superior for the security guard, and, you know, said that soon after that she was taken downstairs during the shift and like let go, right? And that also doesn't look great for her case, because she alleges that Cardi B got her fired, and now this dude in open court was like, no, it was me. It was me. It was me 100%. And I guess I'm just coming from a place of like,
if you really wanted to sue Cardi B for $24 million, you don't wait until there's other people involved that are all going to have different accounts of what happened. If you wanted to sue Cardi B for $24 million, you just walk up to Cardi B before she gets in the elevator, say, "Hey, Cardi B, how you doing?" And then throw yourself down some stairs.
That's gonna be the easiest way to do it, you know? Throw yourself down some stairs, all the while screaming out Cardi B singles for every step that you hit. You finally hit that last step, you're like, oh, why would top charting artist Cardi B do this? Oh, she's really about that life. These are bloody shoes. I grew up in Louisiana, and thanks. Yeah. And once in a while, my friends and I would go to New Orleans. It was always a big deal because it was like going to, another world and everything, because we weren't from a good part, right? And when we went one time, I was with 3 of my friends, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, we should all go to a psychic while we're here in the French Quarter, right? Because they have a bunch of psychics lined up, right?" And so I was like, "Nah, I'm good." I don't even really believe in psychics, and even if I did, I don't know if I want to know, right? I'm all right. And he was like, "No, come on, it'll be fun. Let's do it, right?" So sure enough, he convinces all 3 of us to go ahead and do it. And there's lots of different psychics lined up. There's some people that are like reading palms. There's some people that have tarot cards. There's some people that are just staring at you like, oh. And so, I sat at a tarot table, right? And I don't know anything about tarot cards at all. I don't know what the process is or anything, but I went ahead and I paid the lady, because you got to pay up front, right? They can't just be like, "Here's the future now." And so I went ahead and paid and everything, and then she started like dealing, right? And so, I didn't know, so when she had dealt a couple, I just scooped up a couple. Because I don't know how to play, right? And then she was like, "Don't do that." And so then she redealt, and I kept my hands to myself this time. And then there was one card she got to where she just went, ooh. She went, ooh, and then scooped up all the cards, grabbed her tablecloth, and walked away. I was like, I paid you for $5 worth of future. You gotta say something. You can't just walk off. What? Because now I feel crazy because I just paid $5 to believe in that now. I don't know what she saw. My friends are next to me, they all getting their palms. Oh, yeah. Then they get done. And they're like, "What about you?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know anything," because she walked away. She can't just... And they were like, "Oh, maybe she was a scammer." I was like, "Maybe." She didn't even try. It's the future. You don't know. I can't prove. Do you know what I mean? Make something up. Even if you saw something terrible, lie to me. I won't know. And so then they were like, "Oh, well, stuff happens. It's just $5." I was like, nah. So I sat down with another psychic. I was like, "Hey, can you help me?" And she's like, what are you looking for? What do you know? I'm like, no, none of that. I need you to find... I need you to track down one of you so then you can tell me what she saw. You know, like in the 80s movies when somebody would get in a cab and they'd be like, follow that car. I was doing that. But with the psych, because I was like, you need to track her, because she walked off with a tablecloth and everything. I don't think she's coming back. Like, I need you to see what she saw to just... And she was like, oh, it doesn't work like that. I was like, how does it work? We are dealing with an emergency here, because she didn't just go, ugh. She was like, ugh, like... It doesn't look ambiguous what's about to happen next. You need to know what it is. There's an interesting thing that's happened over the past, like, 2 years, I'd say, where everyone has built out categories for people who are famous, right? So there are some people that are like that old Hollywood type of famous that's kind of disappearing. You may never get another one of these again, like Brad Pitt level famous, right? Like, we don't know if that'll ever happen again because the internet has split us so much that, like, there's very few hardcore blockbuster movies that just everyone went to see. And when they are happening, it's like still factions of people. And it's not the same actors in the same movies every time. So, like, the closest we've probably got is, like, Timothée Chalamet. You know what I mean? Like, he was in Wonka and then Dune 2 and, you know, and then something else at the same time. It felt like everybody in Hollywood. I remember that time because for those period of months when I was going to the movies, it felt like everybody else in Hollywood got sick. And it felt like they just kept calling, like, no, we need you to do, or the movie won't come out. It's like, okay, then he's Wonka, then I know where he's a Fremen, and he's like, you know, it's like, it was just a lot, right? And then you have people who are like, yeah, that old Hollywood famous. Then you have people who are more like internet famous in a way that may stick or may not stick. So you have people that have like millions and millions of followers on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever. So they're technically as famous, if not more famous, than the old Hollywood people, right? Because these people were picked by the people, you know what I mean? Whereas the other people's sort of their success feels like studio, feels like, you know, a machine driving it or something. And then you also have lengths, right? Like lengths of fame. So there are some people that are famous the way that, like, they will be as famous as long as, like, a turtle lives. Do you know what I mean? Like, they'll be famous for so long that they'll actually die and still be famous after they're dead because people keep watching their movies and they're in classics and stuff. So it's like those, like, Marlon Brando types and stuff like that, where even if you don't know who they are, even if you can't picture it, you know what they've created, you know a part of what they did while they were here, you know? And then there's people that are famous for a shorter amount of time. It's still substantial, but it's not the same amount. So people that are famous like lifespan of a dog. Like it's still quite a bit of time. You know, there are people who were like super famous in the 90s who are less famous now, but if you saw them in a grocery store, you'd be like, ah! Don't move, don't move. You were in something. You were in, I know your face, you were in something. And then there are people that are famous for like the lifespan, and this is sadly most of fame. There are people that are famous for the lifespan of like a goldfish. It's just here and gone, right? If you blink, you'll miss it. They were famous for like a week, you know? They really subscribe to that 15 minutes in a sense, you know? Because you don't even really remember why they were famous, and then someone has to like go on and on about the thing that they did. Like, I don't know her name, and I'm not picking on her or anything, but just as an example, it's like that one girl that was on TikTok that hit her hip on the bedpost. It was like, ah! And it's like... I don't know who she is. I don't know where she is. She could be here. But I wish her well. I'm not saying this as in like it's a dig on her. I'm just saying that that's what happens. Is that now that algorithms are ruling the world and ruling how we see the world, how we see perspective from other people, and how we like take in any form of media, right? I think that those are like the 3 levels, you know? So there are people who you think are gonna be goldfish and then they end up being dogs. And we haven't lived long enough to see if a goldfish is ever gonna become a turtle. But it's like here today, gone tomorrow, and it'll sweep the entire country. It might sweep the world for like a week or months. You don't know when it's gonna end, right? Like I can't tell if the Haktua girl is a goldfish. Or like a dog, right? Because this is my thing. Okay, if somehow you don't know the phenomenon that is the Haktua girl, basically, very quickly, it's something that took over the world for some reason. Where, you know, people do those street interviews on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and stuff, and basically they walked up to this one young lady who was out with her friend, and they were like, what's one thing that drives a man wild? And she was like, you gotta go Haktua and spit on that thing, right? And in a few sentences, she captured the hearts, the hearts and minds of America in a way that sadly a president never could. And I think one of the reasons she blew up, because a lot of people accused her of being a plant or this being like some weird thing as soon as it happened, but I think that one of the things that propelled her to where she is now and what pushed her in so many different algorithms, because she blew up on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and then there were like derivative things of her after the fact, and then people were trying to figure out who she was, all this stuff, right? And I think that it's because most of what creates anything and what drives algorithms is discussion, right? If you can get people to argue, you're getting people to comment. If you're getting people to comment, this soulless, faceless algorithm just sees that a lot of people are talking about it, so then it pushes it to more people to talk about. Because all they want is your attention. They just want to keep you where you are right now in your phone, right? So then people saw it, and then there were people who immediately hated her. Like, just in a way that's like, not, and this isn't a soapbox thing, just I'm saying I witnessed it. They hated her in a way that we only seem to hate women online. They hated her so much. And I think a lot of people hated her because she was right. But I don't know. I mean, some people hated her immediately, and some people loved her immediately. Some people thought she was the most endearing, so sweet, so funny, so genuine, because that's another thing that people are attracted to in a world that feels like everyone has a very cold and calculated outreach plan or way to get you to buy something or way to keep your attention. It just felt like somebody walked up to her and she talked and she had fun. She was out all night with her friend and then she left, right? And I think that level of being genuine really captured people in that moment, right? And so now, and I don't know where she goes from here. Apparently she's like getting a show, and apparently there's gonna be like, I don't know, a bunch of stuff that happens. There's already people who have like paid her to appear and stuff like that. And then you saw people get mad about that. There were some people that were like, that's so unfair. She was just talking, and now all of a sudden she has stuff, and then that kept it going. And people don't seem to realize that like what keeps her going is us talking. Not in a bad way. I'm not saying a diss on her or anything. I'm just saying even right now what I'm doing is keeping her in the algorithm forever. I do wish her well though, because I think that especially if you are at like, sadly, if you're at like a goldfish level of fame, you don't really know why you're here. Kind of like the goldfish in the bowl that's swimming in a circle, not really sure where it's going or if it can go anywhere, or I'm just here, you know. I used to be at a fair and now I'm at this dude's house. Because when you aren't known for a thing, when there's not, we used to have these turtles because we used to prop up people who were famous as these demigods, and we still do it. We do it in different ways now, because now there isn't just like old celebrity. Now there's like digital creator, there's influencer, there's all these different people, but we still do it to people where we like deify them in real time, right? And I think that before it was always attached to a skill. So it was always like Marlon Brando is the most brilliant actor of all time. Orson Welles is this incredible director, right? All of these people are absolutely deified in their skill and what they do. So then even the people that want to reach their heights, whether it's fame or just skill, they want to get to that level, and it's something that may never be achievable, right? And then when you're like dog famous, people stop calling, right? Like, it's like I was available for parts, but I don't know. Like I didn't want to take the steroids, so then Marvel was like, no. You know, and I wish her well, because I think that it's a terrifying thing to just have everybody think they can get something from you or want something from you immediately, and you don't really know why, right? And you don't know how to keep what you got. Maybe you can turn it into something, you know? Like, who knows? Maybe I is an actress now. Like, I have no idea. Maybe it is a start to something, or maybe it just petered out because, you know, that was a moment in time, right? Because it's just hard. Because then if you're out one day, no one talks about that. No one talks about what becoming like unfamous is. You know, people that are famous actually then they turn to becoming infamous just to keep some level of normalcy of where they were, right? That's why sometimes in my opinion, you see people who used to be more famous, all of a sudden they lose their minds, right? Like you'll just be on Twitter one day and see like Randy Quaid said something. And you're like, okay, all right, that's what he's up to now, all right. No, because I think if you don't really know why you're there, and if people aren't actually around you, protecting you, nurturing you, and taking care of you, right? Because we don't, I mean, unless she's here, we don't know Haktua girl. Like, just, we don't know what she wants out of all this or something. It was just sort of thrust upon her. And she's like, I quit my job immediately and I just started taking meetings and stuff. And I'm like, good for you, but also like, be careful, you know what I mean? Because if you don't know why you're here, you don't know how to stay, and then you get treated like a goldfish after. After a couple weeks, and you get, you know, next thing you know, that's not a regular bowl. It's a And by the way, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that she gets to use whatever springboard she wants, or like landing pad that improves her life. Because also, she didn't necessarily sign up for this thing. Somebody just asked her, what makes a man go crazy in bed? And then she knew, so then she answered, right? Like that's... I went to years ago, when I was with my friends back home in Louisiana, I went to a buffet. And this is a buffet before COVID, right? So this is a buffet that we just didn't know was nasty yet, right?
Like COVID, just gives you a different perspective on things that are like communal, right? Because a buffet is just family style eating, but it's with the public. Because you've had meals with your family before, and then you got that one cousin that's nasty, right? So then you're like, can someone please pass the mashed potatoes? And then they get ready to pass the mashed potatoes. You're like, ooh, not you, right? And then they grab the bowl and go to pass you, but they got their thumb in the bowl so they can get some grip on it, right? And then you're like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's, scoop it up, grab it from the bottom, hand it to me, because now it's thumb potatoes. So that's what it is. There's a buffet is just, with everybody. And I even tried to give a buffet a shot post-COVID. And to be fair, maybe I wasn't being fair. Maybe I judged too quickly. But I basically walked in, and somebody who wasn't even at the food, just somebody at a table coughed, and I was like, forget this. This is... No, but this is years ago. I was in Louisiana with a few of my friends and went to this buffet. Now, this buffet did something special where basically they had the whole buffet and you could pay for that, or you could get a box. And if you got a box, it was a lot of the things that were at the buffet you could pick and choose, but it was food that came out of the kitchen, right? So it didn't feel like you were participating. And so I would always get a box, and there was one day they had a special, right? So you could get a box, and then for $1, you could get double meat, which I realize now as an adult is not a deal. Because meat should never be $1, right? Like... Because you told me the whole box was $13, and then they were like, for $1, we'll just double it up. That means that all the meat is 50 cents. These margins are too tight for you to just be giving away all this meat for $1, right? This is horse. It has to be. All the meats that I know of cost a little bit of money, right? And so I was young. And I was naive, and so I was like, ooh, hit me with that double meat. And so sure enough, they get me the box. It's packed, right? And there's just a ridiculous amount of meat, a bed of rice, some veggies on the side, and like a little treat in one of the little compartments, right? And so we all sit down to eat, and I am loving life because I'm eating like a king for like $13. Had a coupon. And everything's well and good. We even leave. And about 40 minutes later, I get a pain. But the pain is the pain is not in my chest or my stomach. The pain is like in the middle, like right here, which is terrifying because I was like, I shouldn't get this till I'm 58. Like this is too specific of a spot. Like it needs to be like, like head, shoulder, all the pain should have a section, right? And like it either needs to be stomach ache or heart attack. I don't want whatever this is. This is an insane region to have this much pain. And so then I'm doing all types of weird movements trying to like make the pain decide where to go. Like I'm trying to either push it up or knock it down or something. Like I'm cramping up, but it's like it's right here. And I've never felt anything like that before. And so then I have like a little, I don't know, I do some motion and the pain just gets even tighter here, right? And then it starts to hit my stomach, and so I run. I didn't even know I was fast. I run. I run to the bathroom, right? And I run to the bathroom, and I'm glad nobody was in that one because I kicked the stall door open, right? Cause we're in crunch time. This isn't a no. You know what I mean? Like, we're pushing at least, right? And so I run up and I kick the stall door open, which you should never do because those stall doors bounce back, right? So I kick and boom and boom and boom, and then I get up off the floor, right? And I get in the stall, and then I sit down, and it's still just like, it's all right here. And I'm like tearing up. It hurts so bad. I don't know, I can't even describe it because I've never felt anything like it since. And I'm just like, I'm still trying to do the movements, like push the pain to make sense, you know what I mean? And I've been praying, by the way. I've been praying for a long time because you ever in the bathroom and you start to pray, but you're not even praying about anything related to what you ate. You're praying about something you might have got away with when you were little. And you were like, Lord, I'm sorry I took it. I didn't think they noticed. It's my bad. I won't do it again. That's gotta be what this is about, because this is too specific. This is like an inch below the nipples pain. Just hurting, right? And then I can't help it. I'm like audibly making noise. I'm like, I think this is what the psychic saw.
Hey friends, I'm going to be hosting The Daily Show again this week, October 7th, 8th, and 9th, Tuesday through Thursday. And I want to take a quick second to say thank you, because the last time I hosted, my very first time, so many of you tuned in, you told people, TiVoed if that's still a thing. So many people watched that we actually set a ratings record. And that was really, really special because I love The Daily Show. I love all of you, and to be able to bring those two things together, to be able to set records your very first time doing something is special, but to do it with you was incredible. I look forward to bringing these Daily Show shows to you this week and the video, because you're already watching. You might as well keep watching. Just let it play. I'll see you.
Give it up for Josh Johnson!
I don't know if y'all have seen, but people are losing their minds. People are losing their minds because Bad Bunny is going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime show. This is incredible. The level of upset. You ever see somebody get so mad that you're like, this is just weird? Like, not even, we're past like the levels of angry I expect you to get, and we're into a new realm where it knocks me out of even any sort of reactionary response. I'm more just like, are you okay? One time, I was at a McDonald's, right? And this dude, he must have wanted the pickles that come with the sandwich. They come with the sandwich. He got a hamburger, comes with a pickle. His hamburger didn't have a pickle. And I don't know what else was happening in his life. Maybe he usually handles disappointment very well. Maybe they caught him on the wrong day. Maybe they... You know what I mean? Maybe this man's been through a lot, and this is finally the thing that made him snap. This is possible. Everybody has their line. Everybody has their limit. And some people's limit, you wish that your limit would come when it makes sense. Do you know what I mean? You want your limit to come when something actually happens. You know?
Like, you want your limit to come when it's like, maybe you've lost your job, you don't know what you're gonna do next, rent is due, and your dad is passed, and it's just all happening at one time, and then you lose it. That's when everybody would understand you losing it. But instead of losing it when you're supposed to lose it, some people stay strong. They don't let on that they're about to lose it. And so then they go to McDonald's. And they order a burger. And then they realize that burger doesn't have a pickle, and then all the injustice in the world comes out. All at once in this McDonald's. And so now you're screaming in front of a bunch of strangers because you don't have a pickle. And we all know that you don't have the pickle, not because you opened the sandwich to check, just in case you were like, hey, is the world fair today where there'll be a pickle on my sandwich? No, you know there's not a pickle because you ate half the sandwich and you haven't hit pickle yet. And so you finally open the sandwich, just give it a look. Be like, maybe this is a slippery one. Maybe this pickle's sneaky. You know, they supposed to put it on top of the cheese before the bun, maybe under the condiments, but maybe this one, maybe this one's sneaking in there between the meat and the cheese. Who knows, right? And then you open the sandwich, you realize you've had no pickle. You realize you've been looking forward to pickle this entire hamburger, and it was never gonna come. It was never gonna come. It was never gonna come, just like your job isn't coming back, just like... No, it's all coming back in real time. It's like the pickle is almost this unintentional metaphor, like the pickle is missing the way your father is missing in your life because he's gone now. And so you just start letting it all out. It just comes out. You start screaming at someone behind the counter who is 17. Just someone who is beginning their life. Someone who has the whole world ahead. I mean, you used to have the whole world ahead of you as well. But then life happened and it came at you so fast you weren't sure what you were doing when you were doing it. And so now at home you have somebody that you're married to that like y'all are almost like strangers passing in the hallway, and you have 2 kids but you don't really see yourself in them at all. And so now you wonder if maybe you were too hard on your dad and you wish you could tell him that, but he's gone. And so is the pickle. The pickle's not in there. The pickle is supposed to be here, right? And that's why you end up screaming at this 17-year-old at the top of your lungs to the point where people are recording you on their phone, which is never great. Your life never gets better after that. That's never the beginning of something wonderful. It means you're probably about to lose the next job before you even get it because you've lost your job and you're gonna apply for more. You might even apply here. They won't hire you. But the next job you apply for, they're gonna look this up. They're gonna put your name in Google, and then this video will come up of you screaming at this 17-year-old that you accidentally called dad. And that's a tough part about not snapping at the right time. If you had snapped 15 minutes ago at home, everybody would get it. Somebody might even hug you. But now you're in McDonald's and they're just calling the police. No, it's tough. It's tough. What I'm trying to say is people have snapped over Bad Bunny doing the Super Bowl halftime show, a no pickles in my hamburger at McDonald's amount. And it is stressful to watch. I understand why the NFL's doing. The NFL is trying to expand its reach and everything. What better way than with Bad Bunny? But Bad Bunny is over here, like he's defiant in a way that I think is very special because Bad Bunny is doing this like record-breaking tour right now, and he's not doing it in the U.S., you know? And I think a lot of people can't handle that. A lot of people are like they're like, why won't he come? Why won't he do MSG? Why won't he? And it's like, and you know, he's been asked about in interviews, and he said a couple things that also are gonna irk exactly who he's trying to irk. Because they asked him, like, why aren't you we looked at the dates. Where's
Chicago. Where's LA? Where's New York? You know? And why aren't you touring in the US? And then he said, because it's just not necessary. Not necessary to tour in the center of the universe, according to us. Not necessary. Ooh, that was a gut punch. Not necessary. Don't worry, I'll be making plenty of money around the world. You know, the rest of the world. Like literally. They had other people ask him. And he was like, hey, look, I don't do shows here right now because I don't need ICE hanging outside of my shows trying to do some sort of sting or something like that. I want my people to be safe and everything. In fact, if you want to see me bad enough, I'll be doing a bunch of shows in Puerto Rico. You can come to Puerto Rico. And plenty of people were like, Puerto Rico? Where's that? Because it's actually terrifying. It is like bone-chilling scary how many people who live in the U.S., like U.S. citizens, that don't know what land the U.S. has. It's like, I don't know what civics class or what, is it just geography? How are we failing the youth and the elderly? Like, it's like, because it's not like you can just blame it on the kids. Grown people also don't know. This is crazy. All right, look, just bring you up to speed, okay? Real quick. And I'm not judging anybody because I might even have the dates wrong, okay? But in 1898, at the end of the Spanish-American War, America got Puerto Rico. So already, territory, Puerto Rico, right? 1917, Puerto Ricans gained U.S. citizenship. 1952, Puerto Rico became like a sort of commonwealth, which I guess a lot of people miss because like we don't have a king or we didn't have a king or like whatever, but just like simple, that's the status. So if you are Puerto Rican, you are a U.S. citizen, okay? And that is also why when people were upset, they were like, why can't somebody from America do the halftime show? And look. Listen to me. The people screaming that are coming from a very specific place. They have watched the Super Bowl religiously, and the last few years have watched it get blacker. And I understand. After Kendrick, they were like, it's black now. Is it finally black enough? You blacked it. You did it. It's been blacked. All right? That's enough. It's been black, and I watched it. I didn't get it. But it was black, and you had it. Can we have one? Because I don't think you're gonna get blacker. So it's gotta be our turn again. And they thought, surely, that time was coming. You know? After Kendrick, next one gotta be, you know what I mean? Yeah. Next one gotta be the one that does that song with the twang to it that you really like. Gotta be. Come on, we even, look,
You just did it. So I did all that rapping. I let rapping in my house just because it was a Super Bowl halftime show. That's as black as it's gonna get. I refuse to let it get any blacker, all right? These people were like, it can't possibly get blacker. And then they were like, all right, I'll raise you no English. Oh, you think you're mad now? Ooh. Ooh, we gonna make you pray for Kendrick. We gonna make you... Ooh, Kendrick, please hit us with some symbolism. I don't even understand what's going on now. Oh, no, this is so funny. They're so mad. They're mad in a way that's like, I don't even know, like even if I wanted to help, I wouldn't even know where to start. Because what are you so mad about? It's like, because it's Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl. It's not Spanish Bowl. It's Super Bowl. What's next? I love what's next, by the way. People love to take a thing that's actually happening and then do a hypothetical that'll never happen off of what's next. You see Bad Bunny's doing a Super Bowl halftime show. What's next? You gonna make Superman Mexican? That's what's next. That's definitely gonna happen. What's next? What's next? You know what I mean? What's that? Because it's scary. It's scary, you know? You watch the Super Bowl halftime show, these people might, by accident, learn some Spanish. Then what's next? If I learn the Spanish, what's next? If I learn the Spanish, what happens then? Because if I learn the Spanish, then when people are speaking Spanish, I'll know what they're saying, and there's no way they're saying anything nice about me. But no, people losing their minds. I can't believe it. Spanish? He's gonna speak Spanish? I'm gonna have to sit there and listen to somebody sing and rap in Spanish? I already had to listen to rap. You know what that was like for me? You know what that was like for me to hear rap in between the game I bet on? I'm gonna have to sit there and listen to somebody Spanish. I'm gonna have to sit there listening, watching the Super Bowl halftime show to Spanish. I'm gonna have to sit there with my guacamole and my chips in my lap, listening to Spanish. I am gonna have to sit there while I eat the tacos that I Uber Eats to my place, listening to Spanish. The idea that I could have a deluxe crunch wrap and have to listen to Spanish is crazy. Not in my America. Spanish? Are you serious? I can't believe
I'm gonna have to listen. I want all the Spanish in my mouth. I don't want it in my ears. Which has like pretty much been the approach of a large portion of the U.S. for a long time. So much of the culture, so much of what people like about a culture that they're willing to take in, they try to do as best as possible to the exclusion of the people that the culture's actually from, right? So you'll see how people of Latin descent have been treated in this country the entire time while we fall in love with more and more and more and more of their stuff. You know what I mean? And it's something that obviously happens to black people. It's something that's happened to Asian Americans and everything, but it's something that doesn't always get addressed, is that if you loved what we make, then just love us. We made it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing to love almost every aspect of a culture and then meet the person who created that culture and be like, I don't know if I trust you though. I just kind of want all your stuff at my house. It's like, oh, I love that thing that you do. I'd probably just take it. What if I took it and then pretend it was mine? Wouldn't that be dope? What if I take it so hard that one day I tell you about it? No, I tell you about it and then I tell you you're doing it wrong because it's actually... No, what if you have your entire culture with a different understanding of everything, a different understanding of the world because it's from a different lens, and it's also from perspective of a people who have built a very rich heritage and everything. And what if one day I stop by and I'm like, oh, that looks cool, I'll take some of that. And then when I say it back to you and you're like, that's actually not how you say it, I'm like, I think I know how to say it. All right, I'm very familiar with the Latin X culture, all right? Huh. Please, that's sweet of you to try to help me, but I'm well-versed. Oh. That's wild, because that was the laugh. All right. No, because you see, Bad Bunny moves in a way that's very intentional, and he has the loyalty of his fans and his people because of how he moves. Because there are plenty of people that truly, and I'm not saying this from a place of judgment, I'm saying it just from noticing. There are people who truly forget where they come from as soon as they get success. It is a very, sadly, once again, it's a very American mindset to have that as long as you get taken care of, as long as you're okay, you can leave whatever behind, And you're out now. And you're out, you made it out. And then you start to rationalize in your head, well, if I made it out, then people just have to do what I did to make it out. I'm not special. And they'll be able to take care of themselves. And then all of a sudden you're gone. And there's not a real building of community. There's no upward mobility for the people around you. You just up and went, right? And look, it's also a very hard thing to do to try to bring everybody with you. Plenty of people have gone bankrupt trying to do so. You see us like, and I've done it from time to time. I'm not innocent of this thing. So once again, I'm not judging. But you see us with entertainers and athletes, we'll judge them for like going broke quickly, and we always make the assumption it was because they made stupid decisions. Maybe they bought one chain and then we're like, well, they were out here buying chains and so now they're broke and so. But more often than not, what happens, and what a lot of people don't talk about, what a lot of people don't give them credit for, is one of the reasons that they went broke is that this new money, it's a lot of money, but this new money
tried to bring everyone with them at the same time, were not able to set up systems for everybody to succeed, and so then everybody was broke in like 5 years' time. It's because of their heart that they were broke. It's because of their intention to try to bring everybody with them that they aren't in some mansion somewhere, you know? Essentially, you had something like that happen to MC Hammer. There were a lot of people that hear how much money MC Hammer made and then how much he lost, and they thought to themselves, oh, he must have been balling out or something. He probably deserved to lose all that money. Then you hear interviews with MC Hammer. He talks about his business and everything. He talks about the people that he hired. This man hired family. He hired friends from the hood. Just try to give them jobs, either to keep them out of trouble or just get them some money, because he knew that they would do the right things with their money. But he's one man. He's one man, and eventually you can't have all these people on the payroll. You can't have all this money going out when not enough is coming in, when not enough is coming back, and so eventually you do lose everything. So it's an admirable thing, and it's a smart thing to say, hey, if you want to see me, come spend your money here. Come to Puerto Rico. You can come do the shows. Anybody can come. We'll have a good time here. You know? You see Bad Bunny thinking ahead. I'm not going to do shows in a place that has these like ICE raids and everything, because also in Chicago, there was an ICE raid of this apartment complex. And in the apartment complex, they grabbed everybody. They grabbed everybody in the worst way. They zip-tied kids. They zip-tied kids. Some kids, you know, scared, crying, terrified. Nobody knew what was happening. They entered the building with flashbangs and everything, all because they said that they were there for, I think, like 6 members of some gang. Trend Day Aragua. I'm trying to pronounce it the way the president pronounces it. Trend Day Aragua. They were there for them. And look, I don't even know if that's true, because apparently they didn't show anybody any warrants, you know? So maybe that's just something they said for later, after they went ahead and did the raid. But they zip-tied, they held black and brown people alike, you know? And that's the other thing. It's like pretending that somebody's fight is not your fight is only going to work for so long. Like, pretending something is not your problem will make it your problem very soon. Because already Supreme Court has pretty much ruled that ICE can profile so they can grab who they need to grab, right? And it's like, okay, well, what does an American look like to the people who are grabbing people? You know what I mean? Because, I don't know, I feel like I have some pretty good diction. But I could probably still get zip-tied. You know, if we're going off of looks, it won't really matter that I'm like, sir, please, I'm an American citizen. Because you see what's happening. You see what's happening now with ICE in Chicago. You see what's happening even with the announcement that Bad Bunny is going to be doing the Super Bowl. You have, Corey Lewandowski saying that ICE is going to be at the Super Bowl as well. And it's like, all right, but what's the point of that? What's the point? Because you know all of the criminal illegal aliens, because that's what they're supposed to be about, right? You know all the criminal illegal aliens every year that score tickets to the Super Bowl. You know. You can't swing a stick without running into a criminal illegal alien with Super Bowl tickets. You know criminal illegal aliens love the Super Bowl. They love rolling up to a Super Bowl. Got my tickets right here. And no other form of identification. You know criminal illegal aliens. They can't stop going to the Super Bowl. In fact, every year I'm like, when are they gonna do something about these criminal illegal aliens enjoying the game while I'm sitting at home because the tickets are like $10,000 just to see. Can't stand criminal illegal aliens having all the money. And using it on the Super Bowl. That's an irresponsible purchase. You're not even supposed to be here, Mr. Criminal Illegal Alien, and you going to the Super Bowl instead of hard-working Americans that can't afford to go to the Super Bowl. And we should know that, like, no one is coming to save us in that way. This is everybody's problem, and there's not enough of a travesty. There won't be enough rights that are violated. There won't be enough unconstitutional things happening that's just gonna make the people doing it go, whoops. That's not gonna happen. They're not just gonna stop. You know, they zip-tied kids. Kids who were born here. Because this was never about what they said it was about. You know? I look at ICE the way I look at, like, season 6 of Ghost Hunters. You're looking, but you're not gonna find what you're looking for because you made it up, you know? It's a very scary thing. Because don't get me wrong, look, plenty of ICE agents are over here masked up, top to bottom, can't identify who they are. It's not like they're wearing a badge. It's not like they have their name, you know, all over them or just on the front or anything like that. And some of them clearly built like stormtroopers. And then some are built like mall cops. Like there's a couple. I don't know if you saw that video of that young man that was running from ICE and hopped on his bike and rode away, but at a certain amount of running, you have to accept that you didn't catch the person. And as someone who had friends that got into trouble, I've watched my fair share of mall cop chases. And these mall cop chases, you know, I don't have them on my phone. They're from memory. They're up here. But they usually start a similar way. They usually start with, what's that? What'd you say to me? And then, just far enough away, they say it again. And so then, mall cop leans forward, and then whether you're on your skateboard or you're on foot, you start making some moves. And as you run, they run. And when they run, they realize they shouldn't run. It's a battle. It's a battle for them to run, and you can tell because the kick. Okay, I'm not a runner. I'm not an athlete in that way, but I'll tell you right now that like, okay. When you watch runners, when you watch like, you know, like a Usain Bolt, like an Olympic runner, and they start off and they have, you know, a foot up and everything, got the foot up, the hands down, looking up, and then I don't know why they put the butt up. You see they put the butt up, and they're down, but then they're like, ugh. I know this isn't true. I knew this isn't true, but when I was little, a friend told me that they do that so that they can fart before they run. It's clearly not real. But he's like, no, you don't want that air getting out and it knocking you off course. It didn't sound true when I was 7, but I did believe it for like 2 years. Because I was like, they do it every time. I don't know. They, you know, get down, they get up, they do that thing. I'm not doing it right. They do that thing. And then they fire off the gun, and then they're like sliding at first, and then they just shoot off. They're running so fast, right? And when a mall cop starts to run, it's similar but different. Because he will do this, but that's because he almost fell. He got knocked off balance reaching for you. All right, so now he, And then he does like kick up a little bit. That is a fart. And then he starts to take off and chase you. The problem is, I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens when you take up the badge of mall enforcer. I don't know what happens to your right foot. I don't know what happens to your left foot. But they stop speaking to one another. And in these mall cop chases, I've seen plenty of them kick off, up. Into a food court table. And that's what it looked like, because my man kicked off on the bike and he wasn't even pedaling fast at first. Still seemed like he was talking. Do you know how embarrassing that is to run after somebody who isn't even breaking enough of a sweat to stop talking to you? And then they also ran after this man for too long. At a certain amount of somebody getting away, you gotta just let them get away. The clip became more embarrassing because they kept running. I'm like, now he on the bike, now he pedaling. You didn't catch him when he was pushing a bike. You're not gonna catch him when he's on a bike. There's a huge difference between those two things. Pushing a bike, he all encumbered. He gotta figure out when to like throw the leg over and everything. Now he's on the bike, he's gone. He's gone. The only thing that could make that video more perfect is that dude, And he pedaled all the way to the Super Bowl halftime show. Anaheim, y'all been phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Mira,